Recall that in Newtonian mechanics, the key assumption is that there was a universal time, which is the same for all observers. So we stated this assumption in our Galilean transformation as the time in the primed frame is the same as the time in the unprimed frame. So we had no transformation equation for time. Now suppose we had a statement that events A and B occurred at the same time. So in order to set up a universal timescale, we must give meaning to this statement independent of a frame of reference. So essentially, we can't have a universal timescale if different inertial observers don't agree on two events being simultaneous. So what we do first is consider a single frame of reference and set up a timescale in this frame of reference. So first of all, if events A and B occur at the same position in this particular frame of reference, then we can have a clock at this position that registers the time of occurrence of each event. So in this simple case, if the reading is the same for both events, then the events can be said to be simultaneous. But more generally, what if the two events occur at different locations? And note that we're still looking at one particular frame of reference, so we have clocks at the positions of each event and everywhere in that frame. So before we compare the readings of both these clocks, they must be synchronized. And we assume that clock A is the same type as clock B. So what we do is use electromagnetic waves to synchronize the clocks, because they don't require a medium to propagate, and their speed in a vacuum doesn't depend on their properties like wavelength, amplitude and direction. And the speed of light c is the largest known wave speed, and we've seen by the different experiments that the speed of light is the same for all inertial observers. So given that the speed of light is finite, we must account for the finite time of transmission of the signal to synchronize our clocks. So if we imagine an observer at position A with a light source, and another observer at position B with a light source, so these observers can turn the light sources on and off at clocks A and B. And we'll denote the distance between these clocks as L, and we have an agreed process for synchronizing the clocks that must account for the transmission time of light. So we do the following to synchronize the clocks consistently. So if A turns on the light source, when his clock reads a time of t equals 0, then we have the light wave propagating, and when this reaches position B, so when observer B receives a light signal, then he sets his clock to a time t is equal to the distance travelled on the speed of light. So that's at the instant that observer B receives this signal. So at this instant, if B turns on his light source, then the signal arrives from B to A at a total time of L on C plus L on C. So that's the time that A's clock will read when he receives that signal. So note that another process is that we could have put these two clocks at the same position and synchronize them at A, for example, and then move one of the clocks to position B. But the problem with this method is that we don't account for the motion of the clocks. So moving them at different velocities, accelerations and path lengths, we can't assume that the motion won't affect the readings or timekeeping ability of the clocks. So even in classical physics, the motion can affect the rate at which the clocks run. Now alternatively, we can have a light source in between these clocks, so halfway between at a position of L on 2, and inform both observers at A and B to set their clock at t equals 0 when we turn on this light signal and it reaches both of them at the same time. So essentially, the light will take the same amount of time to reach A and B from this midpoint, and therefore this procedure synchronizes both clocks. Now that we've figured out how to synchronize our clocks with a consistent procedure in one reference frame, we can determine the order of the events that occur in that frame over time. So if we suppose we have an inertial observer O in frame F, being our train here, and we have two separate events that occur in that frame. So for example, we have two lightning strikes, and if we suppose this observer finds that these two events occur simultaneously, meaning that the clocks at A and B record the same time for the two events. And we want to know if these same events are determined to be simultaneous by an observer O prime in another inertial frame being f prime, in this case being this train, moving at velocity v relative to train f. So again, each observer uses an identical procedure to synchronize their clocks in their respective frames. So the same lightning strike leaves a mark at this point on the adjacent train, which we'll call A prime, and this lightning strike leaves another mark, B prime. Now given each frame has its own meter sticks and synchronized clocks, and the observers note that these two lightning bolts strike these trains at positions A and B, leaving those marks at those positions, and we assume that the observers use measurements to determine that both were initially located at the midpoint between A and B. So essentially, because each observer knows he was at the midpoint between where those lightning bolts struck, then he'll conclude they're simultaneous if the light signals from these events arrive simultaneously at the clocks at their location. So if we suppose the observer in frame F observed the lightning bolts to strike simultaneously, the 2 points where the lightning struck on each train coincide, so A coincides with A prime and B coincides with B prime, and in the subsequent figures where we see the train F prime move to the right with a velocity v, then we see about the propagation of the light waves. So light wave A moves to the right and B moves to the left. So the light waves take a finite time to travel. So the light signal starting from B or B prime reaches observer O prime, as we can see, before the light wave starting at A and A prime reaches this observer. Whereas in this frame, we can see that wave A prime reaches observer O at the same time as wave B prime. So given the light waves reached observer O at the same time, then he finds the events to occur simultaneously. Whereas observer O prime sees event B occur before A. Because remember that the light wave propagating from location B reaches observer O prime first, before light wave A reaches the observer. So therefore two separated events, which are seen as simultaneous with respect to one frame of reference, were not seen to be simultaneous with respect to another frame of reference that's moving at a velocity v relative to that frame of reference. So therefore simultaneity is a relative concept and not an absolute one. And note that neither observer can assert that he was at rest, because equivalently we could have observed this where observer F is moving to the left at velocity v relative to an observer in the frame F prime. So think about that. So in contrast, if we had a signal that travels at an infinite speed, then simultaneity would be an absolute concept, because the two frames won't have time to move relative to one another. So basically the signal would reach the observers in 0 time. There are other conclusions that we can draw from the relativity of simultaneity. So recall that to measure the length of an object, we needed to locate the two endpoints simultaneously. So because simultaneity is relative, length measurements also depend on a frame of reference. So therefore an observer in a stationary train will measure a different length compared to an observer on a moving train. And as we saw, the observer in the primed frame sees event B before he sees event A, due to the finite propagation of light. And in contrast, the observer in the unprimed frame saw the events occur simultaneously. So therefore the time interval measured in the primed frame is different to the time interval measured in the unprimed frame. So time interval measurements are also relative, meaning they depend on the reference frame of the observer. So due to the relativity of length and time interval measurements, this is consistent with observers moving relative to each other, measuring the same speed of light. So recall the constancy of the speed of light was suggested by the Michelson-Morley experiment, and we'll subsequently look at this in more detail.